Welcome back to the Beecommercer Daily Buzz. It is Tuesday, August 25th, 2026. Today's theme is clear. AI can make marketing much faster, but customer truth is becoming the scarce input. Marketing teams can now ask AI to summarize customer data, analyze competitors, review campaigns, and generate recommendations almost instantly. But speed creates a new problem. Where did the insight actually come from? A team might begin with campaign data, add some market research, combine internal experience, and then ask AI to turn everything into a polished recommendation. By the time that recommendation reaches leadership, it may be difficult to distinguish actual customer evidence from internal assumptions or model-generated reasoning. That is the focus of today's big story. AI can summarize customer insight. It cannot replace hearing the customer. One example in the newsletter is surprisingly simple. Before finalizing an important business pitch, the message was shown to actual customers to see what made sense and what did not. It was not a massive research project. It was a reality check. And those small checks may become more important as AI becomes more convenient. A model can instantly tell you what it thinks Gen Z values, or which product features might matter, or how a customer might respond to an offer. Those answers can be very useful for generating hypotheses, but they are weaker as evidence that a real customer actually thinks that way. That is why even a few candid conversations can be valuable before a major landing page, positioning, or creative change. Existing customers and new prospects also need to be separated. Existing customers already understand the company's language. They understand product terminology and internal shorthand. A completely new prospect may not. So if you only validate messaging with existing customers, you can miss the confusion experienced by first-time buyers. For e-commerce brands, some of the most useful questions are very close to the transaction. Why did you return the product? What nearly stopped you at checkout? Which comparison mattered most? What did you misunderstand from the product page? And which piece of evidence finally made you trust the company enough to buy? AI can summarize those conversations, but the customer needs to provide the source material. Now, let's move to Geo. Google's John Mueller says publishers do not need a separate technical playbook specifically for generative AI search. Google's AI experiences still depend on the same crawled index used by traditional search. That means many of the technical foundations remain familiar. Crawlable pages, clear architecture, accurate business information, useful content, authority, and information that remains current. The risk is marketers seeing a new search interface and immediately creating a parallel optimization system. Separate markdown pages, duplicate content, AI-specific files with little original value. Instead, improve the source material that both traditional search and AI search can use. This becomes even more important in high-trust categories. Healthcare is an obvious example. An inaccurate AI answer can influence an actual health decision before the customer ever visits the source website. The same principle applies to finance, legal services, supplements, and other high-value or high-risk decisions. Visible authorship becomes important. Evidence, dates, limitations, and fast correction processes. The more likely someone is to act without clicking through, the more accurate the underlying source needs to be. Now let's talk about product images. Google Merchant Center will require product images to be at least 500 by 500 pixels beginning January 31st, 2027. Google recommends 1500 by 1500 pixels or larger. On the surface, that sounds like a normal image specification, but product imagery now does far more work than it used to. Shopping ads, free listings, AI shopping experiences, visual search, marketplaces, social commerce. A product image is becoming part of the product data system. That means the photograph has to agree with the rest of the product record. Correct variant, correct color, correct accessories, correct packaging, and the same offer the customer sees on the landing page. Weak source data becomes a much bigger problem once platforms reuse it everywhere. So merchants should not wait until January 2027. Start auditing high revenue and high spend products now. Move toward larger source files and verify that every visual matches the actual product being sold. Now let's move back to AI and advertising platforms. Meta is continuing to turn Meta AI into an always-on business advisor. Small businesses can connect Facebook and Instagram data, Meta Ads performance, and information from Google Workspace. Then ask conversational questions about campaigns and content. Which creative patterns are performing? Where could budgets work harder? How does engagement compare with similar brands? And the assistant can turn those findings into deliverables such as slide decks. That can remove a lot of analytical labor for smaller teams. But there is an important trade-off. The platform selling the media is also analyzing its performance and recommending where the next dollar should go. That does not make the recommendation wrong, but it means businesses still need independent evidence. Revenue, contribution margin, customer acquisition cost, prior experiments, and real business constraints. A platform assistant can identify patterns. It should not become the only source of truth about the value of the platform. Meta's advertising business also continues to fund its broader AI investment, so the incentive is clear. Make advertising easier. improve matching, automate creative, simplify measurement, and help businesses spend more efficiently within the ecosystem. Advertisers should use those tools when they genuinely improve outcomes. But a better interface does not automatically justify a bigger media budget. Finally, governance continues to reshape platforms. TikTok has reached a $400 million settlement with the Justice Department related to allegations involving children's privacy protections. For advertisers, the broader lesson is that audience access and targeting rules are not permanent. Regulation can change how users are reached, what data platforms can use, how accounts are verified, and which safeguards become mandatory. So what connects all of today's stories? AI makes the path from information to recommendation faster, but it cannot make unsupported information true. A wrong customer assumption is still wrong after AI turns it into a beautiful presentation. An outdated claim is still outdated when an AI system repeats it. A misleading product image is still misleading when it appears across 5 commerce services. That is why direct customer conversations, original evidence, clean product data, and governance are becoming more valuable at exactly the same time AI gets more capable. Content production is no longer the scarce resource. Trustworthy input is. That is all for today's Beecommercer Daily Buzz. See you next time.